back to our non-toxic podcast. I'm Bree.
And I'm Hannah.
And it's our birthday week.
Woo!
Mm-hmm.
Someone sing to us.
I know.
Actually, don't. I get really
I know
uncomfortable.
that it's like my, honestly, Hannah, this morning, my daughter's like, here, mommy, sing, and hands me a microphone. I kid you. So we went through a phase. At first, she was like, stop singing. This is my moment. And now she wants me to sing for her.
Take it and run with it.
And I literally am I'm like, if someone walked in right now, I'm in my basement. It's 7 a.m. I have a hot pink microphone and I'm like falsetto singing.
Wait, what's your song of choice? What are you singing?
She picks for me. She's like, Mermaid, go.
And you're like,
and I'm like,
okay, let me just get in character.
Stuff. Isn't it neat? Like, I don't know, like, I'm like, and she's like, Frozen.
She's like, switch it up.
And so like, she'll say Frozen. I'll start singing. She's like, no, not Anna, Elsa.
Obviously.
Like, oh my gosh.
That's actually hilarious.
It's like American Idol in my house. So
I would love to see that though, because I feel like the only person that you would ever take direction from would be your 2-year-old.
It is. And she's scary.
Yeah.
She's bossy.
And she's into Prada sunglasses now.
Oh my gosh.
Hilarious.
I like kept debating. So she was like crying the whole way to school because the sun this is before time change.
Right.
Blaring in her eyes. And it's blaring in mine.
Which is the worst time.
So what do? Naturally, I give her Alex's sunglasses.
Of course. She looks like a third base coach.
And she's like, no, too big.
Yeah.
These won't stay on. And I'm like, gosh darn it. So I have my other sunglasses that I keep in my visor that are my prescription because I'm old. And I was like, oh, I don't want to give her my Pradas. They're brand new.
Yeah.
But I know they'll stay on her little face.
Yeah.
So she wears them and I'm like,
She's a bougie baby.
I literally, and so I recorded her and that's when she was like grinning.
She knows she looks good.
So anywho, I'm not going to sing for us. It's our birthday. Mine is Thursday. Yours is Friday.
Which is nuts.
Which, speaking of birthdays, I'm going to need everyone since we're now visual.
Oh,
Let me get in frame.
let's just get this mic out the way real quick.
Hi, Daddy.
Do we see what's going on here?
Dude, I need This is Harvey Specter. This is Harvey Specter.
This is the man, the myth. Yeah. Wow. I honestly, after I saw this, I got this for Bree in case
I was about to say, we need to tell everyone
who else would get Bree this gift. And also, I'll give you the footnote that I gave Bree. The life-size cardboard cutout wouldn't have made it there in time, unfortunately. So I did not get to get her that because that was my original gift idea, was to get you the actual 6-foot like rendition.
Can you imagine? Alex would be so upset.
Can you imagine me walking from my house to your birthday dinner just carrying a cutout? I already looked ridiculous because I had on my like dinner outfit and I put my heels in my bag and then I had my other bag that had like your presents and then my cameras and everything. So I'm just like walking in the street, they're past the kids playing in their like hopscotch. And then at the end of the night I walked right back home and I was like, why does it feel like a walk of shame whenever I'm coming back from like a wholesome dinner party?
Yeah,
but I'm like holding my heels walking back.
Sorry,
that would have been made even better if I had a cutout of Harvey
obsessed.
Specter. Yeah, you look fantastic.
I mean, everyone, what were they saying at dinner? They're like, look at all the different versions of him, except they're all the same.
They're all the exact same face.
And I'm like, that's the
So
point.
you got happy, sad, excited, in
Serious.
love, in court. Those are all his moods.
I mean,
That's
truly, this is a vibe.
When I opened it, I was like, this is good quality. Like, it's not peeling off. I want one now. It's from Etsy. If anybody wants one, I'll send you the link. And it came in like
Guys,
less than 2 weeks. And Etsy usually takes some time.
Yeah.
So I will be ordering
The
again.
fact that you were that prepared.
I was prepared. I didn't, because I wanted the cutout. And it took a long time. But their turnaround time is like 6 weeks. I was not that prepared.
And then the card that Hannah wrote me had Lewis lit on it.
It said, let's get lit up.
I loved it.
Did you finally open the rest of them?
Yes. I loved them all so much.
Well, that's why I only gave you this one in like person, because I'm like the other two are more like sentimental. And I know you would want to open this privately.
Yeah.
This one, hilarious though.
I mean,
easy.
Had to.
I have to do like a multifaceted gift.
I'm
Because then
obsessed with that.
I always overthink it, and I'm like, well, if I get you just a funny one, that doesn't like that sells
Encompass
short
our whole
friendship.
relationship.
It does not, because we're past that. But also, if I just get you a serious one, it's like I can't do that.
Like, do we ever have fun?
I know, so I have to do
You
everything.
nailed it. She got me like a little book that's like poems, which to me is I love. I literally flipped open the first one. And I was like, okay, put it up.
It was
Put it up.
I got emotional even reading the synopsis
And
of
then
it.
a new journal, which is so crazy, Hannah, because I'm almost done with my current journal.
Really?
And in my head, I was like, ooh, I got to start finding. And I was like, I love this.
I've wanted one of those, and I have one in my Amazon cart, and I'm like, I know my mom's gonna probably get me one for my birthday, so I haven't ordered myself one, but I live for
The
journals.
fact that you got me the one you want to. That's a true.
Well, I know that you
friend.
like a prompted one because I've seen on your Instagram stories that whenever you do your journals, it's like, which because you don't
I
have the
either
time,
do a devotion with it, or I need something that helps,
like guided.
Yeah,
Because you don't have
sometimes
all day.
I will like free write, that was a lot more before kids.
Yeah, that's me right now. Like my journals, it looks like just the Constitution over and over, just like cursive, everything, just like page after page after page.
Yes.
Because I have a lot of thoughts to get out.
Yeah.
So I will eventually need to have some like corralling of my thoughts into
Someday,
one.
yeah.
For now, no. Just free verse.
I mean, I remember getting asked one time, they're like, how do you know what to write about? I was like, that is the least of my problems.
I have like a mental list.
So much up here.
I got to narrow it down. I have to triage what I need to write about, actually.
My hand starts cramping.
Oh, I always have to stop and I'm like, oh, come on.
I know.
Like, I still have more to say.
I'm like, I need to finish writing.
I know. And I always have to, I almost like make a list of things to write about because I'm like, I got to dive into that later. But I don't have time now.
I know.
So, and sometimes I just write because I feel like.
Or you just voice memo. I just voice memo you. I'm like,
oh,
you know what I was thinking?
Yeah, I got to get it out. I love that. Just a brain dump. Because I don't know if it works like this for everyone, but for me, if I have thoughts that just stay in my head, it's almost like they're tangible things just like knocking around.
It's like an open tab.
Yes.
That's like slowing your computer up.
So I have to just
like like Adobe's open and it's frozen. You have to force exit it.
I can't. I hate that. Nothing makes me more angry than when an app will not cooperate. And I mean that. I'm not being facetious. There's not one thing on the planet that makes me more angry than when things freeze up.
I believe.
I have no patience, especially for technology because we should be past it.
So, like, circling back, because I'm dying to know, we have not talked about this. Yes. What are you doing for your 25th birthday?
Okay, so it's very sad because you're not going to be in town.
I know.
We know this already. But I am throwing myself a little birthday, like, party. Which at first, okay, for one, I would have been so insecure about this, like, even last year. And this has been, I
was about to say, like,
I even feel like I talked about this in the podcast last year, is that it's always so difficult with girls, especially because you want to throw yourself, you want to do something for your birthday, but then you don't want to ask for it to be done. But then it feels awkward to
you're like, don't my friends love me enough to know what I want?
Right. And then you feel bad too, because there's this expectation of like, I want someone to do something for me because I will make me feel loved, but I also feel guilty if they do something for me because then they're spending their time and their money to do it. Also, what if they don't do exactly what I'm wanting, but then you have to kind of go along with it because it's what they're doing for you. And it's all these different emotions where you simultaneously feel like you deserve more and deserve less at the same time.
Yes.
And then you always end up feeling like either guilty because they did too much or not loved because they didn't do enough. Like it's never, and I've had good birthdays every year. So this is not even to complain about that, but it's just always stressful leading up to it whenever you're like.
It's the birthday expectation situation. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like we have all these expectations around our birthday. And then all at the same time, you're like, it's just my birthday. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Everyone
but at the same
has
time,
one.
It's your birthday.
I know.
It's so hard. And I also, last year and the year before, I think the last time I really did something like big was for my 22nd birthday. And it was right after COVID. So I went like out. And
what'd you do?
I did a headstand on a bar, which I actually put in a video last night. And I was like hesitant to post about it because.
Wait, I didn't see this.
It was at the end of a reel that I posted.
Well, now I'm going to go back.
Because I had, you know how I texted you a couple weeks ago and I was like, Brie, my medication just kicked in. And all of a sudden, the only thing I want to do is make a video of you. And then I made a video. I did that for myself. I was like ready to get focused, ready to work. All of a sudden, I'm like, you know what I should do is make a compilation of every moment that I felt like the main character of my life. And then I seriously went through like 3 years of videos that I had. And I was like,
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you ever, when you're about to post on Instagram, think like, ugh, what if someone like judges me for this? Or like, do people think I think too much of myself? Or are you just like, no, I don't care anymore?
Well, I think that went out the window whenever I started editing myself into movie posters. But I did think about that, and I still kind of do. Like the one last night, I was like,
I'm not saying I think this about you.
I did.
This is a genuine thought.
Yes.
Because even my 30th birthday reel that I made for our dinner party, in my head, I'm like, are people going to think I just like think I'm hot shit? Like, but then I'm also like, this is my social media. Like, what am I supposed to post on this?
It always crosses my mind. Always. Because I also do those little outfit videos where it's literally just a compilation of myself that I edited to a song that I'm posting to show off my outfit, but it's like a selfie, but cinematic. I'm like, this is the most egocentrical thing that I could post.
But like, I see your content and that thought never even crosses my mind. I'm like, oh, okay, she's so cute. Aww. Like,
well, I try and.
But then when it's your own self, you're like, am I like?
Do I think too much of myself?
Yeah.
I think for me, I just put it aside because I enjoy making it, and the intention isn't like, oh my gosh, guys, look how pretty I am. That's
like
not my intention.
I don't care.
No, I hide that. I don't want to see it at all.
I feel like though, and I don't know. I just remember back in the day when people cared about likes. Like I remember telling my friend, I was like, I've never cared. I've never once been like, I got 220. I just am like, no, this is my feed.
I cared for a while. I think in high school, especially because then you couldn't hide it. You always saw them and you're like in direct comparison with other people. After that, whenever you start to go your own separate ways, I'm like, it felt very juvenile.
See, my friend, I remember in college, because obviously I'm 5 years older than you, and my bestie would be like, is this a good time to post? And I was like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
And she's like, you wouldn't, because you don't care.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh.
I envy that. I wish that I didn't care about that, because I definitely was affected by that a lot whenever I first started Instagramming like frequently, which is high school. And sometimes it will affect me, not since the hide like option came out. Whenever that came out, I was like, I'm home free.
This is fair. Yeah, this is a free ball game. Like, here we go.
Exactly. And even if I wasn't posting to get likes, sometimes you happen to just look over and I'm like, oh, like I thought I looked cute. Like, what happened?
57.
So, exactly. It kind of like gets in your head, even if that wasn't the intention or the goal. Then you see it and you're like, maybe I'm second guessing everything now. But now that I can hide it, I hide them like before I post.
Yeah,
if I could just hide it indefinitely for my whole profile, I would, because I don't want to see it. But I just want to post what I want to post. So
I love that.
Answer your initial question, I do often think of that. I think I'd try and, shove it to the back of my head, because I'm like, I know how I'm intending it. It's that I had fun making it and I think it's cute. And then if people want to think that, then they can.
No, I love that. I just wondered if I was still the only person that got that weird self-conscious, like, do people like, are they going to judge me?
Definitely not.
Also now in like my mom era, and like, do people think I'm care more about myself because I don't post my kids a lot, but I go through seasons, and I'm in a season right now where I don't want my kids all over my social media, because it's such a digital footprint.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I'm just kind of like, I don't post my kids all the time because I don't want their face all over.
I think about that with me and Austin, because sometimes I feel like people don't even know that I'm married, except for the fact that I wear a wedding ring, because I don't post with him that often. But also, we're at a stage like we don't take photos together that often. We just had photos done for our 2 anniversary. Besides that, we take the occasional selfie.
Which, by the way, you guys were really
Thank you. Thank you. Seriously, shout out to Savvy Moots and her photography business.
You crushed those.
We were out there for 7 minutes, because I was like, Savvy, I want pictures, because we haven't done them since our wedding. I do not want it to be that long. Like, there's no reason. We seriously need like 5 to 10 pictures that I can, give to our families.
I always think that about photography sessions. I'm like, the shorter the better. Yeah. I'm not going to hang
Especially
20 photos in my house.
No, exactly.
It's going to be like 2 or 3.
And we had so many engagement photos, and they were amazing, and I love all of them. But also, when you have 75 photos, how do you like? I get paralysis at that point. I'm like, I don't know what to do with them.
Someone said we need to print them all, like off our phone, everything.
I hate printing things. I hate going to print photos. I still, to this day, my wedding photographer has a deal where you can select your top 75 photos, and she'll print you and bind you an album. I've been married for 2 years, and I still haven't done it. I text her like every 6 months, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. I will do it. I have it narrowed down to 200 favorites. I cannot get it down further.
I haven't done mine.
She's like, it's fine. It'll still be there. So
I haven't done mine.
I need to get on it. I can't. I like all of them.
I haven't cleaned my wedding dress.
Me either.
I haven't made a wedding album.
Me either. I just realized on our anniversary that I have a video of the whole ceremony. I thought that I only had the compilation, like the 8-minute video and then the 2-minute teaser that my videographer made. It turns out I actually have the entire ceremony videoed and the speeches. So I went back and watched the speeches, and I was like, oh my gosh, like my girls nailed it. They were so good.
That's sweet.
I'm not really that checked in to the whole wedding.
Wait.
Yes.
What are you doing for your birthday?
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know. In my head, I'm like, she didn't tell me.
So going back to the whole birthday, like, you stress out about it,
Yes.
So that's what happened last year, which, man, we got way off track. First of all,
I don't even know how we got here.
So for
the fact that I even remembered to circle this back is
bravo
huge.
To you. I had, for my 22nd, gone out, went to this karaoke bar. I have the, like, whatever that gene is that makes you want to get, like, behind the DJ booth on a stage, like, just the mischief gene. The second, even if I, like, smell alcohol, I'm like, I'm going to get into something.
I love it.
And it's never harmful. It's never like, usually it's not harmful.
Just fun.
Sometimes I get some bruises. Usually it's just like funny. And
I do that stuff too. I think I can do tricks when I've drank.
That is exactly what I did.
Do you want to see me do a backflip? Too old.
The problem is that you could probably do a backflip.
Too old. Last time I tried to handstand against the wall. This was years ago, but I was like, watch, I'm gonna handstand twerk, and I literally fell. And Eliza was like, never again.
I love that though.
And I'm like, I swear,
break it out again.
I can do this sober.
If you came to our party last week, Bree handstand twerked. It hasn't happened yet. It will happen 2 days from this recording, and I'm going to tell everyone that she's going to handstand
I can't
twerk.
even hang like that anymore. I told you guys 1 glass of wine and I kicked you guys out.
Yeah, that's true. But in a nice way.
Yeah. With love.
Because the husbands came home and it's like the unspoken, all right, we got to go.
Yeah.
Okay, but anyways, so we just went out that night, karaoke bar, end up at Friends, and somehow I was like, there's a gap. They have these long, like, stretches of bar top tables kind of. And And I was like, do you guys want me to do a headstand? And my friend's like, Hannah, don't do that. Do not do that. Because I'm not sober. And I was like, I'm going to do it. So I go over to this empty table.
Is this in your yoga era?
In my yoga era, yeah.
So, okay.
And I was stable. My core was so strong. And just literally headstand on the table. And there's a video of one of my friends being like bracing me to fall. And then I go up in the air and it was perfect. And I have never had so many drinks bought for me because it's a small bar. And then everyone's like, the girl with the headstand, give her a drink. Hilarious. It's honestly one of my favorite moments, even though I was like, that could have gone so badly. I could have gotten kicked out. I could have toppled over.
It went great.
It went amazing. And to top it off, I was wearing a bodysuit with jeans, deepest V you can imagine.
True moment.
Not a thing popped out.
That
blessed.
You
Thank
need
you
to
to
link
fashion
that
gods.
bodysuit.
I know. It only worked because I didn't have anything to pop out. That was like that was in my like skinniest I've ever been, not healthy era. So the only thing I could have maybe lost would be like a rib. I could have had a rib pop out. Other than that, there was no chance of any other malfunction happening. So very safe, hilarious. Then after that, my birthdays have been pretty chill. Like I've just had like a dinner with some friends and just, nothing too crazy, which is how I wanted it to be. But then this year I'm thinking like, okay, I'm turning 25, not old, but also 25 is like feels big,
25 is a big one.
It feels like a big one.
I'm telling you, it's a big one.
I'm exiting from my low 20s to my mid 20s.
You're mid 20s,
I'm
baby
mid
girl.
20s. And Austin's turning 30. I don't know when we're going to have kids, but like it's nearer than it is far.
Yes.
One would think. So naturally for me, I'm just like, I want to throw a big party for my friends and not have them have to do anything. So now I'm proud of myself for having the confidence to be like, I'm going to throw myself a birthday party because who cares? Because I want it to be fun. And I also don't want to have, exactly. And I don't want to have my friends be thinking like, oh, we got to do this and them to be stressed out.
And sometimes it's fun to be like, it's like, okay, so my bestie came in town for that dinner we did, and she was like, I can't believe you're paying for this for everyone. I was like, that feels good to me.
Yes.
Like, it might be my birthday, but I don't want you guys paying for my dinner. I want to treat y'all.
Yes, it feels sweet. Like, I want to celebrate with you. And I even said, like, I don't want any gifts. I don't want you to, like, not even a card, nothing. I don't want anything. I want you guys to just literally pick out an outfit that you feel bomb in.
Yeah.
Come party with me. We're going to have a great time. It's at an Airbnb, so no one has to, like... No cover, no men, nothing crazy. Like literally just come and have a girls' night. It's gonna be so much fun. Take some cute pictures, have some cake, and make good memories with people that you never really get to see. And also it's so rare to have all of your people together at one time. There will be some missing, unfortunately. You can FaceTime in.
I will.
From the
just to sing happy birthday.
Just to sing happy birthday. But it's rare to have that many people in one place. So that was kind of my goal, is to just round everybody up, have a good time, make some memories, take a bunch of cute pictures, and then go back to my like reclusive birthday ways after this. So
I think that's perfect.
It's my game plan. Until 30, yeah. And then you and I will go to the Amalfi Coast and
I'll be 35.
And your kids can babysit my kids. It'll be beautiful. And we'll take a little girls trip.
Okay.
So just stick a pin in that.
I'm already manifesting
still
that
podcasting.
Now. You better be careful.
That would be great. That's my game plan. So probably, we're going to Bentonville this weekend, so we're going to maybe do a couple things. But
so fun.
That's really it.
Well, I'm proud of you. I don't think there's anything wrong either with like wanting to be celebrated and celebrate and doing it yourself.
Yes, I agree. I think it's just hard because you don't want to have that like, oh, I think that I'm worthy of all this. Like even every single time I have texted someone, I'm like literally no pressure at all to come to this. Yeah. I will not. You don't have to text me if you're coming or not. You don't have to make an excuse.
I don't think anyone feels that way about you.
Why? I hope not. But I just don't want anyone to be like, oh, I got invited to this thing. Like I have to think of a reason not to go. I don't care. You could say you can't come and then post a photo on your couch watching Netflix, and I'm not going to be offended by it. For me, it's more of like, especially with my mom friends, that I have no expectation of them coming. I don't want to say like, hey, here's the invite, and then have them feel pressure to come. So I'm just like, I just don't want you to see it online and think that I didn't think of you.
That's a whole other topic in the sense of like friendships. There should be no pressure.
Oh no, yeah,
like
exactly.
It's time to move on and be like, if this works for you, fabulous.
Yes, exactly.
And if not, like I get it.
Yes,
like we all have our own lives going on.
Even if you have nothing going on, you just don't feel like coming, it's not going to hurt my feelings, because I just don't want to be in that place anymore where you're like tracking, oh, does they not care enough to come? I just cannot let myself be concerned with that. And I'm going to be thankful for whoever comes and
protecting your peace.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to have a great time.
Simultaneously having an amazing time.
Yes. And I have my outfit picked out. It's like this silver 2-piece set that I thrifted, but I need a backup outfit just in case, because that is the week I'm PMSing.
Can you
so
same. Why did that happen to us?
Because we spend all our time together, unfortunately.
On our birthday?
But I know. And I understand it's like literally the same time every month, but I know myself enough to know that if I'm trying it on right now, it looks great. If I try it on then, I might not be feeling my best, even with a spray tan. So I'm going to have a backup that's like looser. that I feel better in.
Well, I don't know where you're at on the little cycle, but I should be ending on our birthday situation.
Oh,
so I always feel better around that time.
I'm supposed to be like not having started quite yet. Like I will be in the thick of PMSing. I know. The worst. The worst. I actually took a photo of my skin last night because I'm on the opposite side of my cycle. Sorry to our one male listener, but my skin, I break out so bad on my period. It's like
Mine's the week before.
ungodly. Yes. But mine lasts like 11 days. Like it'll be the whole PMS, the whole period. So I took a photo and then I'm just going to make sure that I have it to be like, this is not how I stay. Because
Oh, sis,
in the
you were
thick of
there
it.
at my 30th birthday dinner. I said, God is keeping me humble. I had a huge cystic zit.
But it's one of those that I think you probably notice more because you feel it than other
It was
people notice.
horrific. I like wanted to cry over it, and I'm like, well,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
would
think
cry.
30-year-olds would like not be.
I think that about 25 all the time. I'm like, how am I still dealing with this? But that's why I literally made sure to take a photo right now whenever I'm not in the thick of all of this. So whenever
remember.
in 2 weeks I can look back and remember this is not forever because I have to, because I'll start to spiral and be like, this is my life now.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not.
It's not.
So I will have that reference so I can, get myself
Will
off
you
that ledge.
photo shot me in to
Yeah.
a group photo?
Just take a bomb photo in like a little pink dress and send it to me.
Okay.
And I'll stick you in and then we can fabricate some stories. But it's going to be a good time. But also, no expectations. Like if there's 6 of my friends and we sit around just like
I love it.
LOLing at Vine compilations on YouTube while we're dressed up, would have a great time. If there's 25 of us and we're having an actual dance party, amazing. Whatever happens, happens.
I think that's so fabulous.
And we also got our cake from the same person without chatting with each other.
How did that even?
Shout out to Your Sweet Cravings on Instagram. She's an amazing baker. But
Okay, but not only are they cute,
they're affordable.
Girl.
Are they delicious too?
the girl.
I would have bought it on
Do you know
aesthetic
how
alone.
hard- Do you know how hard it's been for me not to eat like 5 pieces every night?
your birthday,
Alex and
you
I like
should.
share a piece, and I'm like, that's enough. We gotta stop eating it.
It's beautiful cake for one.
so cute.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a hard time with
What's
that.
your color theme? What'd you go with?
It's white, pretty much all white. I think that we're gonna do little like strawberries or cherries around the outside to like decorate it, but like the true vintage cake. But I'm not gonna say what I put on it yet because I think it's really funny and it's like so true to me. I'll tell you offline.
Instead of 30, I almost put Brie Day.
Oh, that's so cute.
But then I was like, oh, I'll do 30.
30 is cute. Just use Brie Day as your caption
I know.
for something or other.
Oh, there's more to come.
It's not done yet, people. We're in the middle of a holiday season. So it is weird to think that it's been a year because our birthdays last year, it feels like it was not that long ago.
I know. I was going to say my only sad is that we're not going to Char.
I know. We could do like a little,
We could do it late.
we could do like a late night sushi
Okay.
on a Monday in sweats.
Okay.
Ooh, we could do that.
Okay.
We could, and our drag our husbands
Yeah.
and get a martini. That was our big like first double date last year. Isn't that crazy?
It was so good.
And now we're neighbors. And
True love.
now Austin knows Miss Rachel through your kids.
Oh.
That is so beautiful.
Miss Rachel's a baddie.
She is Patty. I know. She's an icon, and I don't even have kids, so shout out to her.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you know who she is? She's doing something,
She's
right?
global. She's the true Mrs. Worldwide. Pitbull, step aside.
Yeah.
That is not.
Watch out.
Your throne has been taken. I think that there's been like monumental life changes and everything since our birthdays last year, which is crazy because it seems to me like we just started this whole journey
I know.
of podcasting.
I feel like a lot has happened.
What do you think your highlights are? I gotta stop touching the microphone.
Highlights. Growing my business, even though it also could be a con because it stresses me out so bad.
Let's take a little
Like, growth is scary.
like a detour because when we started, you hadn't bought your house yet.
Nope.
You hadn't gotten the space yet.
Nope.
So you've had big changes.
We've had some things happen.
Yeah. Because last November was right before all of it went crazy.
Went wild. We bought our house and that's been such a blessing. I think I'm truly grateful every day. Like, I love our neighborhood. I love our location, and I love that we do cute little family things.
Yeah.
And like, I know you don't have kids yet, but someday that will
Yeah.
be special too. Like, we went and saw Anna and Elsa from Frozen.
At the clubhouse.
I mean,
Our neighborhood
one
is
of the
best.
moms, like, that's so cute.
It is very sweet.
And just like the pool, everything. So I will say too, I do feel like my kids are a little bit older. So I have a 1.5-year-old and a 2.5-year-old. And so I feel like I'm like breathing now.
Yeah.
Before I was
I
quite
saw your post about motherhood. That was very
I
sweet.
was like in survival still sometimes, like in the thick of it, but just starting to like really get to enjoy it and be present again instead of just like trying to like it felt like I was in the trenches. Anyone that has kids almost a year apart, I know you get it. And I'm not saying the other age gaps aren't difficult. I just don't know
Yeah.
if they are.
Yeah.
I also feel like I'm walking into this year so much. There was a lot of grief with my dad.
Yeah.
Like I had a really, really, really tough year, which I think is a whole nother subject I was going to bring up. It's so ironic that like when we don't post stuff on social media, you have no idea what people are
Oh
going
my
through.
gosh. Yeah.
And so I have had one of the hardest years of my life, just like navigating grief. And I'm not saying I'm not still grieving. It's just I'm healing a little bit every day. And so that is just a breath of fresh air. And I don't know. I feel like life is about to get really beautiful. And don't get me wrong. I think my 30s are still going to be stinking hard because I'm still out here grinding, trying to provide for my family. But I think this is the time of life, like your 30s, late 20s, whatever, to take the risk and go for it.
Oh my gosh.
Like even if I lost everything, as in my home,
Right.
and like we had to
Not your
move, and
people.
like I would be like, you know what? At least I went for it.
Yep.
At least I decided to take a risk instead of like playing it safe my entire life. And I'm not saying later in life you can't do it too, but I think our 30s are meant to like still be a little unsure and like trying to figure things out and do your best. So I don't know.
That makes me feel so much better about I've got
I'm
5 more
excited.
years left to even kind of figure it out.
I think
like
your
close.
20s are so great because you kind of just are freeballing it a little bit.
Yeah, that's how it feels. Which is weird because I've talked about this before, but I feel like I have completely flip-flopped my mentality from my 18 to like 21-year-old self versus now. I almost feel like I'm less uptight, I'm less controlling.
Love it.
I'm almost less professional in a way, which part of that is that I used to work in an actual professional setting. I used to work in a bank and do commercial lending type things. Very fun if you can picture me being a credit analyst. But I was in that mode because I was out of high school and I wanted so badly to have stability and security. And because of that, I went to college on like a fast track and I wanted to get graduated.
I feel like you've always been ahead of the curve though.
But I almost made myself like that's what's so strange. It's like chicken or the egg because I wanted to be stable and I wanted to not have to worry about money and I wanted to be able to be fully self-sufficient and debt-free like the second I got out of high school. And I graduated whenever I was 17. So I was like in an apartment, going to school online, working full-time at the bank, not really letting myself do anything fun or extracurricular. So everything was about like getting to my goals super fast. And it wasn't that I didn't enjoy that time because I did, but it was so centered on like these like pillars of my life that I wanted to have. And then
So
I
it's
got
like you're
those.
always reaching for the next thing.
Yeah. And then now I feel like I finally have stopped because now I can take a deep breath. And it wasn't on purpose. I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to get to this point and then stop and then I can finally breathe. That was just the thing that I wanted so desperately was to be able to feel like confident and safe and everything in my life. And finished college, kept my job. And then, fast forward to now I'm self-employed and obviously I'm married, which is another factor to everything. But now I feel like I can almost be confident in myself a little bit more independently of what I'm doing financially, what I'm doing in my career, all of those things. And now I feel more free to enjoy silly things like crocheting and like making my little videos and reading again.
It's almost like the type 3 in us finds our identity in what we're achieving.
Yeah.
And so to like start to find some self-love that you're like, no, I'm just happy with me. Like, and I know I can do anything no matter what happens. I'll figure it out. Or like, I love myself enough to like take a break. And that's the key.
It's like letting myself be happy for the first time.
Yes.
Which I was happy before. I don't want to say that I wasn't because I enjoyed it. But before I would have been like, it's a waste of time for me to be reading right now because I could be going to the gym or I could be working or I could be studying for my college classes.
Yes.
So I almost did not let myself have any time for anything that wasn't directly providing a tangible benefit to my life.
Yep, 100%.
Because now reading fantasy books, no tangible benefit besides enjoyment. Making my little crochet tops, nothing. All these little things that I enjoy doing, there's not really a direct payoff as far as doesn't put money in my bank account. It doesn't further my education besides like knowing how to do these miscellaneous things. So that would have been something that I couldn't tolerate before. And I never thought of that as an area that I need to improve in. Like I need to be sillier and more whimsical and, make time for hobbies. Those would have never been goals of mine. But through growing, I guess, up and being a little bit more mature and then also having such an intense work life and then craving the opposite side, it's like I stumbled into that growth.
I love it.
And now I'm more comfortable just having downtime.
I did a 5-year plan with my life/business coach, Maddie Miller. And one of the
Shout out.
things, I love you. Thank you. You've blessed my life. One of the things that I kept noting when I was making my 5-year plan is like goofy or silly.
Yeah.
And I think we take that for granted in life. Like we're so serious about so many things. It's like, is that really what we want? Or do we want to be able to be like a little silly and goofy and like laugh? And we forget that that's so important.
Yeah. I want to be that. I never want to lose that side of it. Like as I get older and become a mom and all of these things over the next, 5 years, since we are talking about that kind of jump, I don't want to lose this new development because it feels so much more light and you get to enjoy life and the freedom to enjoy things that are not necessarily, not that they're not worthwhile, but there's all this pressure. Like you can only celebrate certain things. Like let's not go over the top. Come on. Like you're not a kid anymore. Why? Like, why can't we have fun and still work hard and still, provide what I need to provide in my household and do what I want to do professionally, but why does that have to come at the cost of me not being able to be
totally agree
a little silly and just lighthearted and not take myself so seriously?
I do think parenting helps with that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm pretend playing.
You're doing karaoke in the basement.
I mean, that too, but like I'm pretending to eat pizza or birthday cake anytime my daughter wants me to.
Yeah. That's so sweet though.
And so I think it's helpful that you even have that outlook because I do think there's some parenting that we're so serious that we don't want our kids to even have that.
Yeah.
We're like, stop being goofy or stop.
Or like the pressure to grow up. I saw something about that.
Yeah.
I don't think it was on a TikTok, surprisingly, but it was about how everything is big girls don't cry. Like, come on, big girls don't do this.
You're tough.
Like, exactly. Yeah. Like we're always trying to put the kibosh on like the actual facets of their childhood as though we don't have to spend the rest of our life growing up and being a big girl and all of those things. So why shorten their childhood even further? Spoken as a complete non-parent, I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, but I think I see something a lot that it's like circulating, I don't know, right now. And it's like, it may be an ordinary day for you, but it's their entire childhood.
Yeah.
And that's so crucial. I mean, that's huge.
That's a big one. That's a heavy hitter. I think that it's so hard to put into words because it's a concept. It's not like I learned how to stand up for myself. It's not that. It's like it's a mixture of having confidence to be a little dumb and to be a little, not on top of everything all the time, because it sounds silly to say I'm looking forward to X, Y, or Z if it's not impressive and, No,
I think, okay, so I also feel like you're the personality type where we're perfectionists. And so the biggest bummer with that is it's almost like we get labeled as that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, she's a perfectionist. And it's like, I don't want that label.
No,
anymore.
I don't want to
What
do
if
it.
I want to be fun and silly and do something that's not perfect or just go for something? Because let's be real, like your business, I was thinking about this, like with wanting to maybe start consulting with, I'm like, oh, I can't do that. I don't have any proof that I can do it. And I'm like, well, did I have that when I started my business? Like no one has that. You have to start somewhere.
Exactly.
And so getting this label as a perfectionist, it can be suffocating, so suffocating. And like sometimes people will say it with love. They'll be like, well, I know you got it because you're a perfectionist. And I'm like, okay, I'm not. And like, what if I don't do perfect? Are you going to like think different? And I think that comes from even like our childhood. And we did that to ourselves a little bit. And so then I think, and I've talked through this in therapy before too, like it is so suffocating to be labeled as the perfectionist of the family or like the overachiever, because the second you don't, people are like, what's wrong with you?
Because the bar for you is now up here, whenever for others it could be down here.
And what is perfection?
So yes.
And that's something I dove into therapy too. Like, why aren't you posting? Why aren't you going for it? What is perfection? So you tell me, and I remember her being like, you tell me what's the perfect post to post for work, or what's the perfect amount of neurotoxin for someone, or what's the result, or what's the phrase someone will say that means you did absolutely perfect. And you're like, I have no idea. I don't even know what perfection is because the limit does not exist.
Yeah. That's so tough. I almost think it's a self-fulfilling prophecy when you put that label on a kid. And I think that no one intends to have that negative of an impact when they do that. But even growing up, all of our perfectionist girlies understand, then you hear that you're advanced, you hear that your reading level is high for your age, you hear that, she works so hard.
She does it all herself. I don't even have to help her.
Exactly. And then when that is your positive reinforcement, like, yes, it's a compliment and that's how we intend. And I know that there's a million things that, I'm going to say to my kids that are going to be
damaging.
Detrimental to them. But when you're saying all that, then what are your kids hearing? Like as a young girl, then I'm hearing that's a thing to be proud of, is that I can do this without any help. I shouldn't ask for help, or I'm always ahead of everything. I'm I'm getting this praise whenever I'm doing more and working hard, even if it's stressful. And then you become this perpetuator of the narrative that you never even asked for.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like a way to, of course, you get praise for that. You get accolades, you get whatever academic validation that you need. But then it just continues into your life. And then whenever you know,
yeah, it's like she makes straight A's and I don't even have to make sure she gets her homework done. It's like, then you're.
I remember whenever I got my first and only B in high school, it was like World War III. I felt so guilty. I felt like my world was like crumbling around me.
It's a sense of lack. It's like, I didn't try hard enough. I didn't do good enough.
Yes. And it was almost like, for me, it was not just the grade, because I'd always had this complex with college algebra. I just couldn't do it. And in my head, I couldn't do it. So then it manifested that I couldn't do it.
I got my first C in calculus, so we're on the same page.
I didn't even take calculus because that was my last class. College algebra, done. So I couldn't do it. And it was almost this thing where my parents were like, you can do better. Like, you're not trying. And I was like, I am trying. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
But because I was not achieving on the level that I had been, I wasn't getting like a 99%. They're like, you're not even trying. What are you doing here? And then part of me probably wasn't trying because I already knew that I struggled with it.
You felt insecure.
So I didn't want to apply myself anymore because I didn't want to.
You're like, what if I don't do good enough when I am trying?
Yes. Like, what if I give 100% and it's still B level, which a B is not bad at all. It's just that was the cage that I was in mentally. So then you grow up and you become the type 3 friend. You become the one who plans things. You become the one who always has everything taken care of and always has it together.
Or even down to appearance. She's always put together. It's like, well, what if I'm not today? Like, you guys, please stop.
Yes.
Like, I appreciate that you think that of me, but like, what if I sometimes I need to like, not be put together.
And even so, like, I used to be the friend that was like always kind of dieting and always
the healthy friend. I can text her for,
And then whenever you want to stop doing that, like, what if I just want to be the one who's also eating candy? Like, I don't want to be the one who brings my own food to restaurants, which I was that obnoxious person for a while. And I want to be the one who's like, yeah, let's get some candy. Let's get some ice cream. I almost felt like I had caged myself into that as well, because it's not that people are praising you for it, but whenever those are like the words that are used to describe you, you know, like I said, the healthy friend, the one who she always is getting the promotion, she has the good job, whatever it is, then that's what you're hearing as the markers of who you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I didn't have enough of a sense of self to say, like, that's just how people perceive me. This is how I am.
And I feel like we're coming into, in which you're just like years beyond me, because I'm just getting there, but you're just tagging right along. This is what I feel like is the biggest movement for the season we're walking into, is being like, no, I'm self-assured. So if I show up and I'm not put together, it's because I'm not, and I didn't have the time to do it.
And I'm not going to go hide behind the rack at Sam's because I'm not wearing makeup.
Yeah.
I'm just not wearing makeup today.
Or like, I'm going to play pickleball. Doesn't mean I'm good at it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to allow myself to enjoy it instead of being like, no, I have to be perfect at it.
Exactly. And it doesn't matter if things that I'm into are not tangibly. I keep saying this because that is how truly crippled I was by this mentality. Like, I have to be a high achieving person. And if I'm not working on something, then that is my entire sense of self. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can't be like an intrinsically valuable person.
No leisure.
That's a weakness.
Like, yes.
So I need to just be always doing something important. Like, I got up at 4:45 to go to the gym every single day for like a year and a half. And whenever I stopped doing that and started sleeping in, it literally would make me sick to my stomach with guilt. And this is independently of any disordered relationship that I had with food or with eating. It was my disordered relationship with productivity. So because I was known.
You know what? I need to hear this right now, because I've been getting up at like 6:30, and the days I don't get up extra early, I feel like a lazy POS.
Why though?
And it has nothing to do with my gym routine, because it just is what it is. I just feel like I'm wasting hours not getting something done.
Yeah. I mean, I had that bad. And it's tough to break.
And I do have guilt. Like this morning, I was like, I cannot believe I slept until 6:15.
And it also manifests in like judgment of other people. If someone's like, oh yeah, I slept until like 10 today. And you're like,
oh, I do. I'm like, geez, you need to get a life.
Exactly. But in reality, is there any correlation between the amount or the deficit of your sleep to your value? No.
And it's so silly.
But then why do we do it to ourselves? Speaking to myself as well. Because I had a really hard time literally just learning to sleep in. Because I felt like it was contradictory, because I should be proud that I get up early every day. Like, I have something, I know that I'm disciplined. I know that I work hard.
Well,
I know
and
that
if
I get
you
up.
do, you should be, but we also shouldn't make that as a
personality trait.
Yeah, or like a tag to success.
Exactly. Especially when you're trying to do everything else too. So now,
I've been better because I give myself grace in the sense that I'm like, I just popped up 2 kids. I'm tired. I'm years tired.
yeah,
So if I'm going to sleep in, I'm going to do it.
exactly.
But also, if I have the motivation to get up and go to the gym, then I'm going to do that too.
Exactly.
But I do struggle with that. So it's funny that you point that out because I literally felt it this morning. I was like, I should have set an alarm and not got up at 6:30.
No, it's really hard to break that. And it's not that you should and say like, no, we should all be sleeping in and just doing whatever we want. Because discipline does have its value as long as it's not running your life, you know, and if it's discipline out of desire to achieve your goals, that's one thing. But if it's discipline out of lack of sense of self and like needing to have that to define who you are, that's a different issue. So if you're waking up early because you have, you know, I want to meet this goal weight, I want to get to this point in my training, like whatever your goals are, if you're working towards something, that's a lot different than hiding from something.
Yeah, that's huge.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's huge.
I think I was hiding from something because I needed to have these like very strict parameters of who I am. Like I'm disciplined, I get up early, I have a good job, I make this much money. That is who I was. And I didn't know any of the rest of myself because I didn't take the time to get to know myself. So then you have
It's
this
almost like you're hiding behind these. Yeah.
yeah. And then you have this lack of confidence because I'm having to prove to the world that this is who I am whenever it might not even be who I am. Versus now I don't have to think about what I'm posting or doing or saying because it just is me,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, it's because it's exactly your concept of like, are you doing this to show everyone else this or because it's meaningful to you and works for you?
It's tough though. It's really tough. I honestly think.
I think it's an ever learning. I don't think we ever, I think it never ends.
It's almost like that is the biggest goal that I have is to continue to develop that version of myself. And over the past year, since we started all this, I feel like I have been better about like writing things out. Because at the beginning of the year, I'm sure we'll go over this again in our year-end recap, whatever. But at the beginning of the year, I was in a stage where I'm like, you know what? I'm just meant to be slower right now. Like business has kind of dried up after the holidays. I'm like not working as much as I used to be. And that's okay because if God wants me to be in a season of, you know, slower pace, restoration, I had a great year and I'm really proud of my year. So maybe this 2023 is not going to be that. So I made my peace with that. And then right as I make my peace with that, I have this massive boom. And then from, you know, April to July, I'm super busy here. And then from July through September, I'm traveling nonstop, this whole new facet of my business. So it's almost like I went from forcing myself to be okay with it and admitting that my, you know, bottom line doesn't define my worth. Again, common freaking sense, but it's like a novel concept to me because I was placing so much value in that whenever I was having a good month or a good quarter, I'm like, I'm on top of the world. I am the smartest person ever.
Right.
I am the best that has ever done it. And my ego is massive. Then flip, because everything fluctuates in small business, have a bad month. And I'm like, I don't deserve to live.
Yeah.
I am so
I don't work hard
incompetent.
enough.
I'm lazy, like just tearing myself down. And it was so unhealthy how contingent my self-image was on my business. So this year has totally ripped it apart because I went from being like, you know what? If it's a slow season, I'm going to make my freaking peace with that and be okay.
Yeah.
And then I did. Then I had the exact opposite. And I had to remind myself, like, keep your ego in check. That it's not just because of you. It's part of your hard work, part circumstance, part luck, part economy.
Right.
Everything has to fall into place for you to have this good month. And then the other good month and so on. Then I had this amazing, like, experiences, financial period of my life. Like, everything was just booming. It was great. And then I get into the thick of all these traveling experiences and I'm like, you know what? This isn't what I really wanted either.
It's crazy how that happens.
Yeah. And for a while I felt like I was just being ungrateful because I got what I wanted and it wasn't what I wanted actually. But I almost think that I had to experience that.
Absolutely.
To then
It's like you have to cross that bridge to know.
And no one could have told me that.
Yeah.
You could have talked me until you were blue in the face about it's not everything. You're going to feel lonely. You're going to be overwhelmed. You're going to feel like you're
it's isolating.
So unsettled.
It's exhausting. There's no routine.
You're going to be completely just disoriented all the time.
Yeah.
And I'd be
I feel like you're missing out on everyone's life things.
Yes, exactly. Like life goes on without you. That's how I felt. Is like I was looking at the snow globe of my life and my friends and everything in our community. Yeah. And I'm just on the outside,
like,
hey
guys,
let me back in. Like I want to come back.
Yeah.
And I had a great time. But if I would have continued that and made that my new means of doing business, I would have struggled indefinitely.
Listen, c'est la vie. Such is life. That's how you learn. That's how we learn and grow and expand. And
don't you just wish we were not stubborn and could just take advice and be like, lesson learned?
Never. We could never. We learn everything the hard way.
Everything the hard way. It really was just, I don't know. It was a whole year of every time I felt like I had turned a corner, I'm like, I figured it out. I got all this.
God is like
He's like,
on you,
flip the script. Yeah. Can we switch the language?
Yeah.
Let's change this
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
So then every time I'm like, oh my gosh, like that meme of Ben Affleck with his like Dunkin' Donuts coffee, just looking haggard,
You're literally
and
like,
a cigarette. That's me. I'm like,
me.
yeah, that's been me.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know how loud that was because we don't have headphones on.
I know. I've been smacking the mic around because I have no spatial awareness. But
well, I'm proud of us, and I feel
I am
like
too.
no matter what, it's always just a season of growing. I'll be anxious to see how we wrap up next year.
Honestly, in terms of the podcast, I feel like so insanely grateful because not just the numbers. I'm proud of the numbers too. We hit 10,000 plays. Fantastic. Also, just our listener base, like we always talk about how, because we don't look at numbers that often because we're not in it for that. But whenever I look at the numbers, we have about 150 to 200 listeners weekly. And that just blows my mind because to think about that in terms of like us on this couch with like 150 to 200 people watching, even like 50 people watching. Crazy. And then when we hear from people, which honestly, we hear from a very small proportion of our listeners. I would love to hear from more of them. But even the ones that we do hear from, it's always meaningful.
I agree.
It's not like a...
Do you feel like too, because maybe this is just me, but this podcast gave us the ability to get to like show the world more of who we are, because I feel like we both have, I don't know, I feel like people get this huge misconception of me constantly from my Instagram, and obviously now I worry more about my business, so I don't post as much, but they're like, you're so perfect, everything's put together,
I thought that about you.
Nothing's ever going on.
To be fair, I know you now, and I still think that about you.
No, but like, it's like, no, there's so much more depth to me than just,
which is what we've heard, honestly, like especially
a put
people
together
that have thought,
photo.
Yes. And people I think have thought before that, you know, not that you look mean, but like, I mean, pretty girl with a good life, I feel like is just the label that we give. Like, she's got to be bitchy. Yeah. So I've heard that before, that people who went to high school with you or people that had a different representation of who you were. Yeah. Like, I had no idea she struggled with this, or I had no idea she was dealing with that. Yeah. So it's been very interesting to hear. Now you're
she's not perfect.
To hear like what people.
No, that's huge for me.
Yeah. I think it's, and also.
Because I also, a part of me is like, how did I even get that title?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I had that opinion of you. So, but also there's nothing wrong with like portraying yourself well online. I don't think that we have to, you know, show our breakdowns and cry online to be authentic. I think that if that's what you want to post and that's your life, like that is still a part of your life, even if it's not all of your life. Yeah. So I think that it's been almost healing to my relationship with women as a whole, because growing up, you know, you've got your phases where you're bullied, and then you've got your girl drama in high school, and then you have a hard time transitioning from high school friends to adult friends, and then you've got career drama. So I think coming off of all of that, I had a really skewed vision of how my interactions with women should go and how their intentions are and everything else. And then I'm not kidding when I say that this community that we have with the podcast listeners has completely like changed and healed. Yeah. I love the community, and I hate to keep saying that because I sound like a freaking broken record, but the camaraderie that we have, there's so much that women just intrinsically have in common. We go through so many shared experiences. We struggle with so many similar things. And even just the little moments whenever you're talking to somebody and you're like, I'm having a really off day, and they're like, me too. What is it in the air? Yeah. That moment, if I could bottle that up and just keep it, I live for that. So whenever people message and they're like, oh my gosh, you said this one thing, and that's literally how I think about it. Yeah. I'm not kidding when I say it makes my day every single time.
Well, yeah, it's just like, I think I told you this, but I had a client in my office, and truly, like from the jump, like, you know, when you have a lot in common with someone and you know when you don't, and I love chatting with people. I think their lives are so interesting, but like I could tell she's younger than me. We probably don't have a lot in common. Her career's totally different than mine, etc. And she looked at me, she's like, by the way, I don't know if this is like weird, but I listened to your podcast. And I was like, oh my gosh, you do know that's not weird. I love that. Yeah. Like, very, very cool. And she's like, I just feel like I know you so much better. And I feel like even though you and I probably have nothing in common, like I can connect so well. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that means everything to me. And I was like, that's why we do it. I mean, this is really literally a hobby. Like,
it's like a passion project. That's it. It's so much fun to do. And we enjoy it. I mean, we would be talking regardless. We just wouldn't have microphones. Right. But to have that connection over things that I have previously felt so alone on, or so like off on this island of I'm the only person that feels this way, then to talk to you about it is one level of healing. And then to hear feedback from other people that are going through similar things, it has just made me feel so much more like connected to the women in my life. Yeah, no, I agree. And that's one of my honestly, my biggest things I'm thankful for right now. Well, like I said, I think women need more of that. I think we're so pinned against each other, like just
as a society
Yeah.
somehow, like in competition with each other. And
all the time.
I don't understand it.
And the more that we have this open dialogue, like I used to be so afraid of opening up for the same reasons that you can probably guess after all these topics we had, but just insecure and like afraid of almost admitting weakness and admitting that I used to care about likes, or admitting that I get insecure about X, Y, or Z, or I worry about what people think of me. Admitting that used to be very difficult. And now I'm just like, that is the truth. Like I have so many worries and so many insecurities and all of that, so many shortcomings, because what started as us talking about it in hopes that it would help somebody or hopes that it would resonate with like one person, then turns into people saying like, oh my gosh, I feel the same way. And then it leads me to be like, well, that was just the tip of the iceberg. Like here's the rest of it.
Yeah.
And then sharing that, and then also not having that met with like scorn and not being met with distaste and all of those things makes me want to share more of it. So I hope it continues like that, because it's honestly been great for me.
I think there's just freedom and connection, you know?
And that's all we could ask for, honestly. I mean, we could ask for maybe a sponsor, which would be great.
That would be fabulous.
But I'm happy with what we have now. We have our listeners and our people, and you know, who knows what next year will bring. We accomplished our goals. We wanted to hit 10K. We wanted to start video recording. We wanted to have a YouTube channel. We wanted to have a little studio space. And
by the skin of our teeth, baby girl.
Nick of time. Nick of time. So this is episode 53 officially. We are lapping our first year.
It's crazy.
Do we want to set any goals for next year, or just see where?
I was just thinking that. I feel like we're not mentally prepared to do that yet.
No, because
Let's
the first
celebrate
year,
our birthdays, and then we'll reconvene.
I do think we should do merch next year. That's my main goal.
You know, I live for that.
Yeah, that's the only goal. That we'll do those, but it'll be us. The problem is I would make it, and I'd be the only one that wear it, and people would be like,
"It's your own face."
I would do it. I did that for my bridesmaids, and I made them wear it.
I love,
because it was tacky and hideous and hilarious. So, do you have any last notes?
I don't. Happy birthday!
Happy birthday to you. I love you.
Love you so much.
Good for us. 25. Why do we high five so much at this recording
it's
session? It's all me.
I didn't initiate. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it is. I don't know why. I'm just feeling celebratory, so I want to high five.
No, we hope everyone has a great week, and that's
all.
That's
Check back in next week. We're approaching Thanksgiving. This will release on the 15th. So our birthdays are the 16th for Bree and the 17th for myself. So if you feel so inclined, you can tell us happy birthday, and it will make us less likely to cry on our birthdays this year. And with that,
that's a wrap.
We love you. Thanks for listening.
Guys.
Goodbye.
Thanks.
And good
Bye.
night.